It's lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Yes.
Nice. Hello.
Hi.
Candy, you want to start?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I go ahead and start? Hi, thank you guys for joining us today. The first 30, we all got to screen the first 30 minutes of the film, and it was so beautiful, and I loved it. And when that 30-minute hit, I was like, no, it was wonderful. And I can't wait to see the rest. So my first question is for Harry. You're also the screenwriter for the film. And while you were doing the writing for the film, was there someone in particular for each character that came to mind when you were working?
Yeah, well, yes. I think when you write a script, you always tap into the people that you know, and I've mercilessly, exploited all my family members. They've all popped up in very bizarre, incarnations in different scripts. But there were a lot around here, and they were mainly, I think looking back, because this is a film about these little creatures who are perceived as sort of these deadly things, a lot of people are scared of them and stuff. And this film is, the intention obviously is to really show that it's what's on the inside that matters. It's not about the way they look. They reminded me a lot of kids I was at school with. Like there was a boy called Hamish who was rather very sensitive, gentle type, and I was at an all-boys school in Australia that was quite sport-oriented and quite tough, and he didn't have a great time, but he was the kindest, gentlest boy. He had an ant farm under his rock at home. He took me to went over for a play date, and he showed me where all the ants lived in his garden. He was such a kind boy, and he's definitely, that is Nigel, 100% that scorpion. So a lot of these characters and believe me, at that same school, I met a lot of Chazzes too, and Chazzies. I met a lot of boys who felt more comfortable using, force and sort of bullying tactics. And so you'd end up drawing, I find as an adult, a lot of inspiration from your childhood when you embark upon a creative project. Certainly this one.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi, Claire. My question for you. So you have been doing animation for a while now. You have done some amazing series that we love. And my question is, you've done a lot of animation on an editor side. So I was curious on how was this being a director for this project?
I know. I mean, it's very different being an editor for animation than it is for live action. An editor is there from the very beginning, and so they don't wait for the footage. You're kind of there, part of molding the story. And although you have a script, you also have a storyboarding team that add an awful lot of the jokes and the character, visual character stuff to the movie. And then every department goes through editorial. So you get a full sense of the whole scope of the movie and how to make an animated movie by this kind of strange apprenticeship of an editor. So it felt comfortable to step into the role because I knew so much about animation, and I really love animation. My career has been in that field, and I think it's all about, as you step into it, you understand the crew that makes it. It's a very collaborative process, and so Harry and I, knew straight off that this would be something that we would have our production designer, or there's so many people that would bolster us through this whole process, and then also all our animators as well. It was lovely to work globally with so many people. So it seems strange. You don't see more editors entering into directing, but Netflix gave us this lovely opportunity, and we had a great time bringing this movie to the screen.
Yeah, you guys did fantastic.
My name is Monica, and I'm from My Life is a Journey. Hi, Claire and Harry. Thank you for being with us today. My question is for both of you. If you could choose one of the creatures or animals from the movie that you identify with, which one will be and why?
Golly.
I know. I am Maddie. I really identify with Maddie. I think anyone who's ever, just felt bit like an outsider, just never quite sure of themselves. I think my journey, even as we've been talking about becoming a director, it's similar to her. She's very much like a teenage girl who's got, covering her fangs like they're braces. And as she goes through this journey, she blossoms. And so I feel very connected to that story. And I feel like, it's that idea of not judging a book by its cover, but what's underneath. Everyone has something special that they have, and you never know what that special thing will come to be. So yeah, Maddie's my girl.
And I think I'm split. I definitely identify a lot with Nigel. I was saying was, I was a kid. I was a very homesick child. I had to be sent home from a lot of camps because I missed my family. I just wanted to be with them. And I totally identified that part of Nigel. But I also, I think the reason I loved being with my family, I grew at a weird pace and I was awkward, and my limbs, arms and legs took a while to catch up with my body. And I sympathize completely with Frank, this young guy who just wants to get out there and find a girlfriend and all these things. And his body, he just doesn't really have quite control over his body yet. I understand what that feels like as a teenage boy. So I identify with him and with Nigel as well.
Good choices.
So with the inception of from the screen writing, the beginning of the film and bringing it to Netflix, how long was it a process? Was it a challenge? Did you come across any challenges getting the film produced and made?
Well, we certainly did with the pandemic. Yes.
Yes, yeah. But it did bring us all very much as a crew together. The fact that we all I think we just had done our first recording of Jackie Weaver, and that night we went into lockdown. And what was extraordinary about Netflix is that by that weekend, or by that Monday, we were all up and running from home, and we pretty much made the film from home. And we had ironically become the animals that we were trying to portray. They were in their boxes, we were in our Zoom boxes, hoping to get through this whole thing. But I certainly think this was a movie in the making we will always remember because of what we all went through. And it certainly showed that animation and the collaboration of people, it really worked. Even when we were at home, we were able to do it, and we were very pleased to keep going through that.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of the technical challenges. Obviously, everyone had to become a sound engineer overnight. You had to be able to know how to record yourself, how to do a million things on your computer. The actors were in cupboards doing it. So in that sense, there were a lot of challenges. But as Claire said, it was a much more, in many ways, a much more intimate experience, even though we were apart, because we were in each other's homes and we were all going through it. And it was just a joy to have to go, to be able to wake up every morning and go to the Outback and be with these animals, for 8 hours, 10 hours a day. It really helped us through. So it was good and it was challenging, the same that everyone has found in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Hi, Harry. So this question is for you. You have written so many different, shows and everything, and from different spectrums. And so I was curious, I know you touched base on, your inspiration for the characters and stuff, but I just wanted to know kind of what led to the inspiration of the story of wanting to go back to the Outback. How did it come to be?
Well, it actually came to be through our producer, Greg Lessons. He took his kids one day to the butterfly enclosure at the LA Museum, Natural History Museum, and the kids couldn't care less. They weren't interested in the slightest. They wanted to go off and see the snakes and spiders. And he went, oh my God, that's fantastic. We should be making a movie about where these guys are the heroes, where the snakes and spiders are the heroes of a film. And then that naturally led to a discussion that we had about setting it in Australia, because Australia, as you know, has got some of the cutest animals in the world, but it's also got many of the most dangerous and deadly animals in the world. So it seemed like the great perfect setting, and it's such a beautiful country, but it seemed like the perfect setting to make a movie where you are highlighting the underdog, the creatures who are misunderstood, because a lot of these snakes and spiders are. Maddie's a taipan. They have the deadliest venom in the world, but no one's ever been recorded as having died from a taipan bite. because they're naturally incredibly shy, gentle creatures. And so to make a film about those animals was a real joy, but that's where the idea came from, and that's how we ended up in Australia.
Thank you.
And kind of going on through the same topic for you, Harry, how much of the main character, the trainer, was inspired by Stephen Irwin?
Well, I'm a huge Steve Irwin fan, and he, you know, was sadly, you know, it was such a tragedy, but he was such a kind and inspirational person, and whose work with animals was inspired by a genuine love of animals. That is not Chaz at all. Chaz is the opposite. He is a bit of a bully, but he would like to see himself. He wears the gear. He wears the tight shorts and the boots, and he's got the whole energy and stuff. So he's someone who's trying to be someone, but he'll never be that guy. He will never be Steve Irwin until he comes to terms with who he is. And this is a guy, what I like about Chaz is there is a side to him that's good. He's trying to be a good dad. He's a single dad. He's trying to teach his son lessons in life. He's just teaching him the wrong lessons. As the movie goes on, you'll see that that does change along the way. So there is this good side to him as well. It's just clouded by all this bad sort of stuff that, you know, he needs to get rid of. But in his mind, he would look at Steve Irwin and go, that's who I want to be. But to be Steve Irwin, you gotta
Really?
start here. And that's what the film is about, you know.
Yeah.
So all of the animals, as you mentioned, you know, they're scary, just like Maddie, you know, the snake. How did you were able to create these these terrifying, you know, animals into just such loving and caring and just sweet, you know, animals?
Yeah.
How did you guys how did you do that? Because it's beautiful.
Well, we started in an office with all of the pictures of all these animals up on the wall, and you noticed that people came in and they just were like, I'm kind of scared. I'm not looking at that side of the wall. I don't like snakes. And another one, I can't look at spiders. So it was brought to us as well that, or we were asked, why a snake? Why they're not huggable? So it was a challenge for us that we took on, and our character designer, Jesse Acklin, really went for the appeal and making them very appealing, so that when we, you know, so that people could connect with them. And that was part of our process, was we looked at them, we looked at how, you know, Zoe, she's like a goth, you know, with her, you know, goth bracelets, and she has a strange fake head at the back, and she's an escape artist. So we took a lot of the traits of these animals and made them part of their characters as well. Frank he's a dancer, but the mating dances of these spiders are well known. So, you know, all of these things helped us to inform the character as we went forward into animation.
Beautiful job, because I can see the plushes and just all these different little things, and everybody's going to love all of the characters. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.